As you see in the video, the two famous poets, John Donne and George Herbert, are invited to a game show where they try to impress a woman by the name of Barbara. Instead, it ends up with them impressing each other rather than impressing the lady. This was something really common with metaphysical poetry. The poets tried to impress each other and show off with intelligent language. And this is something that Celia will explain more about, and about the characteristics of the metaphysical poetry. In the 17th century, metaphysical poetry wasn't the only kind of famous literature. There were also other famous writings by, for example, Shakespeare and Cervantes, which are some of the most influential writers in the world. This is something Matilda will talk about and go more deep into. Lastly, as you all know, people's thoughts and opinions get affected a lot by how the society looks around them. This was something that even influenced all literature at that time. England at that time was a very religious country. A war had taken place between the Catholics and the Protestants, and John Donne himself was a Catholic and converted into a Protestant. Daniel will talk more in detail about these historical events and the issues in the society at that time. As you might already know, the periods before and after the 17th century had styles that differ a lot from the metaphysical one, but still it is very difficult to delineate the periods. A reason for this is because that there were always some poets that, for example, wrote in a metaphysical style rather than the style that was set for their periods. John Donne himself, for example, he can be placed in the metaphysical century but also the Renaissance century. So, something you should have in mind is that there's a very huge difference in how they lived back then and how we live today. For example, they lived in a time where religion was very important. It could even lead to death if you practiced the wrong religion in the wrong place. And therefore, their poetry was written in a way that they could easily relate to, and we can't really relate to them.